Hello, and welcome to the Postal Pleasures channel. Today we're going to talk about tongs. So this will probably be the first in several of stamp collecting tools videos that I do. We'll talk about what makes a good tong, what makes a bad tong, maybe my favorite tongs. I find I just use two of these tongs that you see here, and primarily just one. We'll go all through that. So why should you use tongs is the first question. Really because it's faster. It's faster than using your fingers. It's easier than using your fingers once you get used to it. It's incredibly more agile than your fingers, believe it or not. And your fingers are covered in oil. Even if you wash your hands, they get contaminated fast. Those oils can leave not only fingerprints, but eventually really turn the whole stamp brown. So it's best to use tongs. But what makes a good tong? Well, first of all, what is a tong? What is a stamp tong? And why should you make sure you use a stamp tong? So things that are not stamp tongs. Needle nose pliers, absolutely not stamp tongs. Here we have a pair of what look like stamp tongs, but you'll see that we have serrated jaws, and that could leave impressions, grab or rip, or otherwise damage. Have I ever used these for stamp? Probably, but if having the right stamp tongs, you're never using them again. These are better off in your toolbox or in a doctor's office. Same thing here, a little more elegant, a curved tong. You can get stamp tongs with this curve. I don't happen to have a pair, but again, serrated jaws, maybe a little harder to see in this case, but not for stamps. The rest here, these are all official stamp tongs in a few different profiles. So, starting with my absolute favorite pair, this is my everyday use pair. This is a round tip. It's a 6-inch tong. I prefer, they usually come in 4-inch or 6-inch. These being the 4-inch, these being the 6-inch. I haven't measured them to see how they line up, but generally you'll hear about 4 and 6-inch ones. I like the round tip. You can also get them with square tips or more pointed tips. Even more pointed than this exist. I like this tip. This is what I tend to use. These are nice and lightweight and easy to control. Some of my other ones, this one's also lightweight, maybe even too light. This one is a little stiffer. This one is fairly comfortable as well. This being my second one, I use this for everyday use, and I use this when I'm working with a stock book because the angle allows me to enter stamps into the stock book without getting my hand rubbing against the page too bad. These two, they look similar, right? They're both 6 inches and both round tips. But what I dislike about this pair, and let's see if I can see the model name on this. Showguard. So this is a Showguard, which is a big name. They're made in Germany. The reason I don't like these is the inward curve on both of the bows. They make it actually hard for me to pick up stamps a lot of times, as the tip is no longer right on the bottom, whereas these are nice and flat. So this piece of cloth here is very cantankerous when trying to pick up stamps. We'll put down a stock card as an example and toss a couple stamps on it. Let's see. And so picking up with this pair of tongs, very easy. I have two there. You can get an edge, very easy to control. This pair, if I can get it in my hand, still quite good, just not quite as good. Not showing you any difficulty here, but trust me, I prefer this pair. This pair is a Safe brand, and I'll put some links eventually in the video details. So you can find the major manufacturers at least, or somebody that sells them. This one, I don't know what brand it is, but it is quite nice. The other thing that I find makes a good feature on a stamp tong is having very, very fine edges, and I don't want to get us out of focus there, but very, very fine. These are almost knife sharp, I guess dull knife sharp. You don't want them too sharp. And the same with these. They come down to quite a sharp edge, which again allows them to slide under. I've never had any trouble tearing or cutting the stamp with these tongs, and I've been accidentally rough a few times where you think you've got it and you pull away very quickly and you just haven't let go enough, that sort of thing. I haven't noticeably or known to myself caused damage to any stamps using tongs. Let's see, these again, just a different tip style, and for me, my hand's fairly big. I find the 4-inch tongs difficult to use, but maybe somebody with smaller hands would like that. I also find them slower to use because I just don't have the range of motion that I do with the longer tongs. So, the final example, and I'll throw this out here, would be working with a stock book. And I'll just go with my 2 favorite pair of tongs. And I just picked a fairly small stock book, and maybe I'll even then have to move it to right here. But, reaching with these tongs, I can certainly do that with my favorite tongs. There, we got under it. And back in. But with this shaped tong, it's much easier to slide in and out. Sometimes working with a brand new stock book, you have to get under the page first, so you might work with 2 pairs of tongs. You have to get under the edge. There you go. One other piece of advice when working with a stock book, I have damaged stamps putting them into the stock book by catching them and not being completely under and actually done a tear into the stamp or, damaged a perforation. So something to watch out for. That pretty much covers tongs for the day. We'll probably work on perforation gauges next. Thanks for watching.